Hey everybody, it's Duane Marino. I want to get into these 4 videos I promised I'd start releasing. This was on sales and business, which are the 4 pillars in a very simple way of how I see the world and why I've been a little bit vocal on social media about certain policies, not people, but policies. Economics was taught, I think, as a mandatory topic in high school up until about 30 years ago. And then for some reason, they stopped it. And our view of economics has become, very distorted for lots of reasons. And if you don't know what you don't know, I guess ignorance is bliss, because our ignorance could be somebody else's bliss if they're trying to control us or have us not pay attention to certain things. So what it's turned into now is we're trying to put people in positions of power based on who we like and don't like, which is ridiculous. It's like saying I'm a Leafs fan because I like the color blue and because my dad, loved them. Okay, you can do that. I've never done that. I'm a fan of what team's probably going to win, especially when it comes to the real world. So let's talk about winning, okay? Winning and losing and what actually structures an economy in very, very basic terms. So with resources, when you are turning nothing into something, you're turning dirt into gold and aluminum and materials that way. You're turning water into fish. You are creating a situation where you can kind of take a liquid out of the ground, oil, and turn it into fuels or other products. This resource use, creating products from resources, is the fundamental of all economies. It has been since the beginning of written record, human history of civilization, literally, because that's what we do. We're not crawling around the earth, dragging our knuckles, last time I checked, and living in caves. We are using the products of the earth to create things for us that we can use to survive and thrive. All right. Now, extracting those minerals and those resources and then using them is 2 different things. Those are 2 totally separate industries. So sometimes things are pulled out of the earth, out of the water, and then taken somewhere else to refine them or process them. But this resource, nothing into something, is the foundation of civilizations. It always has been. Now look around, because you have to start asking yourself questions. Did we used to use them? Did we used to do those things in our home countries, in Canada and the US? To what level? And then who bought it from us? And then who would create sort of the basic pieces and tools of things you could then use for the next level upwards manufacturing? Who would turn that steel into a product? Where was that being done? Well, my friends, at one time, it was all being done at home. And that was the heyday of growth in the economy and stability and peace. And also in terms of war times, if you're not able to pull the resources out of the earth and use it, you actually can't protect yourself. If you were sitting in, someplace 10,000 years ago, and I said, you can't use flint to create fire, and you can't use, certain stones to create spears, and I stopped you from doing that, you're out of business. Your tribe dies. Or you pull it out of the earth, I'll sharpen the stones, I'll make the spears. Now you're dependent on me so your family can survive and defend itself and go hunting. So what do? We learned how to do everything. We were making our own clothing, our own baskets, our own spears, our own fire. And this is still happening today, but in a really confused, much bigger way. Which countries in the world are using the resources from the earth to extract them and bring them up to one level where you could possibly use them? They're controlling the economies, because it's literally turning nothing into huge amounts of some things, also some things that are worth money. Next level up is who's going to take that steel and these different things that we are, creating from earth. Who's going to manufacture these into things? Now, first they have to be made into components. Some areas and some countries and some people are making the components and then sending them somewhere else for assembly. Ideally, you are making the components and assembling them yourself. It's huge jobs, huge money, huge stability. It's what you want to do. Then you have services. Services are people taking care of other people and getting paid to do that. So you're getting paid to sell me a car. You're not making the car. Your country's not even making the car, but we'll sell each other cars. Well, the people in the sales service industry to fix them and sell them, yeah, you're making an income. You're not building anything. You're not creating anything. You're just moving money around. I'll come clean your floors if you'll paint my house, and I'll pay you. You cut my grass and I will do your taxes. You do my taxes, and you can work in a government office and track my health care. All of these government services, any service, private or public service, there is no wealth creation. You're moving money around. There's nothing being produced. Then you have the money businesses at the top. What's the money businesses? It's banking, it's insurance, it's a stock market. It's the top of the food chain because they make money off of everyone below them by controlling, restricting, regulating, and taxing sometimes. The money flows happening down here, but they're not producing anything. They're not producing. They're basically skimming things. They're just creating wealth for themselves by moving money around. Now, the more of these levels you have, just like a house, the bigger the foundation, the bigger the walls, the stronger the roof, the more of these levels that you have control over and that you are doing in-house, on-site, within your own tribe, within your own town, your own state, country, province, the better off you are. That's how it's always worked. Now, if you start subcontracting out certain things, getting other people to do it, like so we're a tribe and we say, okay, I'll tell you what. You dig for the flint, bring it over here, and I'll do the thing with the, making fire and making spears. And then we'll send it over there to another guy that's actually going to use them to hunt. And then once that happens, then we'll send it over to the other tribe and they can figure out how to sell it to other tribes. And, that's what we're going to do. Or maybe we should do it all ourselves and compete with another tribe in terms of who can do it all. And we'll be so much better off because we're doing it all and we're controlling it. This is economies. This is how it works. So look at those levels. Look at where you're living. Look at what they're thinking of doing or not doing, either to you or for you. Maybe ask the questions, why is it happening that way? Because it doesn't make any sense. Last time I checked, we live on a ball. We're all together. So, carbon pollution, however you look at that, this whole other topic, it's kind of moving around all over the place. Doesn't matter if I do it over here, you're going to get it over there. Sorry for the analogy, but if I fart in that corner of the room, sooner or later, enough, or do something in the restroom enough and leave the door open, it's going to show up in the other corner of the room. So this whole thing of we got to keep it clean over here, but dirt over there is okay. Take a look at where all the dirt's happening and where the money is being created and who's leaving us vulnerable and open to their control. Because if we can't do all of this ourselves, we're dependent. In a lot of cases, we're dependent on people who don't like us very much. That's scary. That'd be scary if I was doing it with my neighbor next door or my country or my tribe. It's scary if you do it on an international basis. So my friends, it's time for the naive to wake up, for the apathetic people to get a little bit of strength, for the polite to speak out and really understand the fundamentals of maybe the wool is being pulled over your eyes a little bit by somebody. I'm not mentioning anybody. Go back and do your homework and realize the people you're maybe being told to hate are the people that are changing the system that somebody someplace else has created to their benefit. Do you have any idea how much power these people hold by controlling the cash flow and the money markets of everything below them? And how when you get to situations where it's international, once you offshore money, once you send something to a foundation to another country, it's untraceable. So yeah, you might be sending money, you say, for the Save the Dogs Foundation in Polynesia. That's a good cause. Then it gets there. What's it being used for? One dog got a can of food and maybe another one got some bones. Yeah, we saved the dogs with the foundation. I don't know if it took $22 billion to do that. Where is the rest of it? So follow the money if you can to the end point. Who's controlling it? I don't know. I'm not mentioning any names. And look at these decisions that they're telling us to make. And is it in our best interest as a society, as a family, for future generations, and for your children? Because a lot of the stuff we were doing really, really well, we had mastered. It's how we got here in Western civilization to the point that we're at. Things we're allowed to say or not say. We're suddenly being told, no bueno, super bad, don't do it, commit suicide, turn each other in. It's wrong. Who's benefiting from that? Somebody is. See you on the next one.